In the beginning, of course, like when you grow from zero to something that was like 150% per year, like 100% per year, now we are growing around 30%. And a lot of this growth is really driven by
running a million ads to this product right out of the gate was probably not the best plan. You started with organic, you started with product seeding. Talk a little bit about your strategy to go that way with the product and how it paid dividends.
I think around 30 to 40% of our customer support tickets is answered by our AI agent. And AI agent has sometimes better reviews, like a better CCAT score than a human agent, because she replies quickly, she knows everything, people like her.
Katherine, welcome to the D2C podcast. Could we start with a bit of your hero's journey that led you to the position of CMO at the world's #1 hormonal tracker?
Sure. So first of all, maybe a couple of words. What is Mira? Mira is an at-home hormonal monitor device that helps women to track their hormones at home for trying to conceive, understanding their hormonal imbalances or maybe perimenopause. It's my first company that focusing on women's health. I joined them around 5 years ago. Honestly, it was a bit of surprise for me because before that I worked with multiple brands on the agency side, mostly established FMCG brands, and after that jumped into startup world, but more focused on Femtech companies. And I think at some point I was thinking that I want to have a project or a product that I can deeply relate to, and also that would make the impact and a change in the world. So I was interviewing with different companies, focusing on sustainability and ecology, and Mira pop up. And it was a very risky decision for me because the company was brand new and the product just about to launch. But at the same time, I realized that I really like this initial time, like when everything is chaotic, unorganized, there is no brand, there is no communication strategy, anything, and I have opportunity to build it from scratch. It sounded pretty exciting, and yeah, since then we grew quite a bit, and looking back, it's like almost feels impossible how we did it.
And how long have you been with them on this journey?
Around 5 years.
Around 5 years. Okay, take me back to the beginning. What was you painted a picture of what it was like then, but what was the size of the business? Had it gone to market? Start at the beginning.
Yeah, so when I joined, we basically just got FDA approval for product. It's a medical device, so all this compliance and regulation is pretty important. It took founders a couple years to develop device. It's innovation, so it like went through the whole studies and confirmation from FDA and CS marks approval. And when I joined, they were like, "Oh, we wanted to do launch in a couple of months. So what we should do, like how we're going to launch it." So my goal was to get initial feedback from customers and kind of set a base for upcoming events. We participated in CS. We did some trade shows. But I was a person who was managing basically customer support and marketing and like being influencer and a social media manager in one. And yeah, we started to grow pretty fast, especially during the pandemic. And that was a turning point when we started to expand and hire a marketing team. And besides manufacturing, who is responsible for building the product and like bringing it to the consumer, I think that our core growth happened from like establishing a marketing team and really scaling it up. So it was like the first team that basically formed in a company.
I think we really helpful actually if you could outline those hires. You know, when you've got a business that has traction, product market fit, you've got you're the market leader and you're building your team out. What were your first hires that you made?
Yeah, I think we had first of all like our strategy, especially those time, was just like work with some contractors and freelancers. Like don't hire don't commit for something long term and try people. And a lot of people with whom we start working in this part-time basis eventually joined. Like, for example, we had one of the first hires. I need to have someone who can proofread and write copy, because our product is heavily content based. We do a lot of education, so writing was a very labor intense thing that I can multitask and manage. So we found a
Pre-AI
copywriter. And now she's a creative director in the company.
Oh, nice.
So it was really interesting to see her growth. And I think media buyer was also one of the first hires, because I truly believe that media buying should be done really by dedicated person who is focusing on specifically Meta or Google. And those times we didn't have opportunity to hire good qualified agency. So we just work with a couple of freelancers. And I think the third step was to hire a marketing a person who can do everything, generalist, who can help me with sourcing influencers and sourcing partnerships, because in this initial stage we didn't have a lot of budget. So we were okay, what are channels that we can leverage? And definitely product gifting and partnership with like-minded companies who also have female wellness, women's health audience really helped. But it's you feel that it's organic. And some founders, they ask what I can do that doesn't require money. And I guess there is nothing that not requiring money, because
time is money.
You still pay for employees, but compared to the media cost, it's more affordable. So we had a partnership manager who was responsible for this initial influencer seeding, and also bringing partners, affiliate partners on board, and leveraging organic channels.
So your go-to-market, I think that's one of the things we're talking about at Pilothouse all the time these days is just sort of strategy. And I think when we come up, we kind of came up as a performance media buying company. And when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So I like your perspective a little bit, where you really thought deeply about how to, running 1 million ads to this product right out of the gate was probably not the best plan. You started with organic, you started with product seeding. Talk a little bit about your strategy to go that way with the product and how it paid dividends, I guess.
Yeah, I see it how a two sides component, because nurturing your social media and community before product went live, we started to do pre-order, and I started to look for communities on Facebook that have women who is trying to conceive, or they're discussing some what challenges connected to it, and kind of ask admins to introduce the product and onboard some initial testers, like beta testers. And these beta testers, we created group for them, because we thought they might ask some questions, but this community started to grow. And now it's, I think, 18,000 women who a really army of brand ambassadors who answer questions to each other and recommend product to other people. So it helped you build this social trust, because when you generate traffic and ads, people come into the website, they want to see that someone is using it, someone is excited about it. So that's why also influencers and partnership help to build this content that kind of address the traffic and leverage what is the product value through storytelling. Because, for our products, it's pretty innovative. There is something like this before on the market. There are definitely some solutions which is just a regular, a test strips you can buy in the pharmacy, but also they cost $10, and our product costs $200. So it's a big ask, and really, when I joined, founders are very scientific people, and we mostly communicated features and benefits like our AI and our patented technology. But really what we realized pretty soon that no one cares. It's really what people wanted to hear, can I get pregnant or not? And these first stories that community and influencers helped to bring was addressing these questions, not us talking about the product, but them talking about the product. And of course, it can't happen organically, because you need to stimulate it. We were checking on Instagram who is posting hashtags, trying to conceive or going through IVF, having challenges, checking ovulation, and we're sending them product and asking them to, like, whatever, if you will get pregnant, share, but if not, like, you're not obligated. And when we start to see first results, it was very difficult to be patient because it's not like something you sent and you can see feedback next day. But when some first stories came in, it was huge because it was much work, and the ads eventually converted much better, and we start to use them as our ambassadors and also leverage whitelisting.
And also, you're probably not building those stories into your marketing funnels, but you're using them to inform your customer avatars and your pain points and the language that you use, I'm sure, in your ads and landing pages as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still sourcing a lot of copy and insights from Amazon reviews. Now it's much easier with AI. You can just summarize, but before that, just go and review by review and checking what people like about the product, what people don't like about the product, and plug in this consumer language into our copy and landing pages, adjusting it, because also like how people call these journeys. For example, one of things that we thought would be really great to show pregnancy test, like 2 lines on a pregnancy test, congratulations for this content, and make ads with it, because we thought like, oh, people will see I can get pregnant, and it's like confirmation that someone got pregnant. But people got really upset because it was triggering someone who is going through a very sensitive journey, and they were commenting that like, remove this test because we don't want to see it. It's like, you can imagine how difficult is it to kind of listening to this feedback, help also to build guide that we use how to talk about sensitive topics like infertility or miscarriage or menopause in the ways that people feel that we're listening to them. Because number one insights that we learn that like no one listens to them. It's unfortunate that healthcare system built this way that they need to go through the whole like a journey, basically like demand from the practitioner to get some treatment. But it's also great for direct-to-consumer companies who are working on this reproductive area, because consumers self-educated now. They're so educated, like this. Members that on our group, they probably know more than any of our medical advisors.
Yeah, I believe it, because they've got a lot on the line, right? I guess, which is why you have to be careful in the language that you use. Can you talk a little bit about, like, was there? It sounds like with the co-founders, there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of data and science and results that you can show. Like, but how did you think about creating out the sort of like content web that will answer these questions? Maybe aside from the community, how did you think about content for the brand?
Yeah, content was really big needle mover because our sales cycles now around 3 weeks, but I think earlier it was even longer. Like, people really considering the product, they're checking what else is available, they're following you. So how we nurture leads during this time is very important. How we provide education, because our funnel starts from problem awareness. It doesn't start from a product awareness. First, we need to tell them, oh, you can't get pregnant, maybe because you're doing it the wrong time, or maybe you experience some menopause symptoms and you don't know about it. You think that it's for someone who happened later in a lifetime. So really starting from educating what is a challenge and how you can go through it, and bring in some experts. So it's not us talking about the things, but some people that have authority. And for it, we pretty early on started to engage just like doctors that has social media presence to run webinars with us. And we collected leads, we advertised this on Meta, and also like did through partnerships. Like, for example, there is a free webinar where there is a doctor, someone from our company and someone from another company, for example, male fertility test, or supplement company, or some like a sexual wellness company, or even mental health, because mental health also is a big topic. And we do webinar together. So it's it's more engaged, and conversion rate was much better than just running giveaways because people for giveaways, they just like want to get something for free and go. So bringing content for free, valuable content, was really working really well, because we also can split these videos and to snippets and like use for social media and so on. So building like this really like a content wheel, and using it in the different channels, recycling it.
What was your show up rate? I'm always curious because we've run a lot of webinars. In my info career, I've run a lot of webinars, and show up rates are usually pretty abysmal. Usually like 1/3 or so, like 1/3 to maybe 1/2 of the people who sign up show up. What was it like in this B2C space?
Yeah, one third is a really good result. I would say that in around 2 live webinars, it's around 20%. But again, it doesn't matter because we record them, we send them link, we send like a limited time discount, and eventually we start to do pre-recorded webinars. We just pre-recorded them and basically evergreen. Like people sign up, they immediately get this webinar, so they don't even need to attend live.
Okay, so you've set the groundwork here. You've got a great organic base, you've got community, you've got content marketing. Tell me a little bit about the growth journey, and like, because it's been pretty wild. It's been a lot of growth in the last 5 years. Talk to me a little bit about your growth journey, how what you can say about how big you guys are now, and what really were the key levers in that growth.
Yeah, so in the beginning, of course, like when you grow from zero to something that was like 150% per year, like 100% per year, now we are growing around 30%. And a lot of this growth is really driven by new product launches, because I think it's something that also I learned, when I worked with the big brands on the marketing side, I kind of didn't participate in a product development so closely. Whereas like we're given, there is these products and you're like advertising them. But at Mira, I work pretty closely with the product team, and the product strategy is very driven by consumer demand, like what they want, what they don't like. And like launching, for example, in the beginning, we had just one hormone test. And after that, we launched 2 hormones that can not only predict ovulation, but also confirm that it happened. And after that, we launched another hormone that also can, like, tell you how successful you ovulated. And now we have hormones that also measure your ovarian reserve. So like every launch was really game changer that you can't achieve just by launching new channel. I don't know, we're launching now connected TV, so we'll see. Maybe it will be a huge change. But honestly, like any adjustments, like any, I don't know, influencer we bring or changes we did on Meta, they never like made this turning point as well as new products. So new products are very important, and pipeline, having them regularly, like every year, and preparing for them, like making sure that people understand what the benefits. And a lot of people, of course, like a switch to the new product, so it kind of feels like upgrade, like iPhone launch every year.
Yeah, I've talked to other people in this space that, where there's a large focus around pregnancy, and it's a challenge because there's only a few windows in a person's life necessarily. And I think you mentioned menopause as well, so you've got that to think about. But it probably, when you think about your customer avatar, there's a lot that goes into finding them at those exact stages.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, also the lifespan of a customer is pretty short. I compare it to like dating app lifetime, because you're like you want to build the products for people to get pregnant faster, but in the same time you want them to stay and like retain and be loyal. So also it comes to product development, like how we know that hormones connected to different aspects of our life, not only reproductive, and there is no other products that kind of gives these insights. So that's challenge because we need to educate. But now we're bringing it into hormonal imbalances checking and like perimenopause. So some like a more wellness application. So it's not just for time when they're trying to get pregnant. It also helps to justify cost of investing into the product.
I feel like it's maybe not as much as I think, but it's a blue ocean space in a lot of ways, because it's people are just learning, or the science around a lot of this stuff, right? Where for a long time we've just sort of had this one-way relationship with doctors or health providers, whereas now people are, like you say, are really educating themselves about all this stuff.
Exactly. And I think other products, like some people asking like, oh, is it like a Orrery in your competitor, or maybe Whoop or some like Apple Health? I think that no, because is a really help to educate and like build this behavior. We even did research with the glucose monitors, how like cycle and hormones affect glucose spikes and women's health. But really, it's consumer now much more trained and educated even than 5 years ago. It's like, oh wow, I can track everything. And all these companies that come in now, like brings ownership of your health more preventative way, brings you patient rather than just like relying on the doctor and dealing with consequences.
You mentioned how important it is to have a strong in-house media buyer, and I also know that you kind of came to this podcast because you were a Pilothouse client as well. Can you talk a little bit about your decision to work with an agency, when that became a priority for you?
Yeah, I think as we start to spend more and more on Meta, before that we tried to build our in-house team, and we had a like part-time person who was doing media buying, and after that we hired someone full-time, and we hired a producer who was helping with preparing creative assets and like setting briefs for designers for static ads. But at some point we just realized that the level of expertise that we can get from just one person, like a basically boiling in the same product all the time, and the exposure to like what I see as a big benefit of an agency, that people, first of all, they're working in the teams, and I think based on my journey, like the best ideas coming from discussing with the people who understand what we're talking about. And unfortunately, we had just one person, so we can't provide the support, we can't guide. We didn't have someone senior. And another one is exposure to other clients. Like even, you don't have like exactly the same product, you can see like inspire ideas and what worked with other brands and kind of cross-pollinate and bring these ideas to us. So I think it was really helpful to get the team, not get just one person who is probably, the best in the class and super skilled, but get a team with a diverse set of expertise and see how each person can contribute to scale. Because with Meta, at some point, the most, like you do everything right, Meta limits what you actually can change in the account. It's not so many things as before. You actually don't need maybe so much technical skills. It all goes to the strategy and analytics, like how do you get insights, what's working or not, and what are fresh ideas, what we can try.
And you have to feed the machine. Week in,
Exactly.
week out, new concepts, new tweaks, new angles, new avatars to keep it going, right?
Yeah, and also scale. Like when the first time I heard that, like, oh, we need to like produce like 100 ads per week, I was like, oh my God, how we can do it. So definitely need help.
Yeah. And how's it gone? How has it gone with Pilothouse?
Yeah, it's going great. We were able to, first, I think that one of the biggest wins right now to really leverage menopause segment. Because everyone had concerns about it, like, is it right audience? Like, why do they need test hormones? Do they understand the product? And we see great results, but they didn't came like from beginning. I think it took a lot of iterations and gaining these insights from customer interviews, from product team, from comments, from influencers, and testing a lot of creators and hooks as well, and see like what resonates.
I wonder if it would be as hard pre-iOS 14, or if, because that's kind of been the feeling, right? Is you've had to go back to basics a little bit with how you think about advertising, and that make sure you really are putting forward compelling hooks, really thought out customer avatars. You're speaking to pain points, all that stuff that you talk about, really having to work at to lock in. So it's cool that you guys have found it. You mentioned partnerships. I think people on this podcast are always interested about partnerships. Can you talk a little bit about some of your more successful partnerships and what made them work so well?
Yeah, I think one of recent partnerships that was pretty successful was the app called Swelltory, which is a longevity app. And also sometimes you don't know from where this successful partnership can come from, and it was pretty good because they had menopause audience that we don't have, and we introduced our product. In terms of more PR and awareness impact, we really believe in our partnership with Aura. We're doing research with them and now like launching integration. And some, I would say, I can't highlight like one specific partnership, but just bundling them. We had pretty good partnership with some other fertility like clinics and men reproductive health products and fertility benefits as well, like a carrot and wind fertility. So it's like a companies who offer to employee benefits and like being part of them. Yeah, also help to kind of grow this B2B sales. But some partnerships that we had really high hopes with a big, one of biggest apps for period tracking, for example, didn't work. It's just, you need to think not only if it's the right audience, but also if it's the right moment. Like, do they come to this product to learn about something, or it's just like, I don't know, very utilitarian function and they're not open to kind of research and get introduced to other products. But what we learn also that what works the best is more like long-term partnerships where we not just exchange social media posts, emails about each other, but doing campaigns. Now we're working with this app that calls Flow Living. And with them, we have a study that we are conducting, and their founder, Alicia Whitty, which is like very famous in this women's health space, like being a speaker for us and joining our podcast. So it really helps to like show consumers that you are not just selling another company product, but you really believe in a synergy between both of you.
You mentioned you're experimenting with connected TV, and that also leads me to the next piece, which is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you said in the pre-interview you guys are approaching 8 figures. You're like really experienced incredible growth. What's it going to take, do you think, to get to the next? It's like you're building this, it seems like you're building it very organically, very steadily. What's it going to take to get to that like next phase of growth?
Yeah, it's a great question that I'm also trying to answer. And recently I was talking, like doing my research, and I never been in the same role before when I kind of like scale company from ground up, and I join, and I build the product and the brand from beginning. So I was doing a lot of consulting with different CMOs of famous brands, not only in women's health and wellness, but just overall D2C brands, and was asking the same question, like, what brings brand from like being, in a, I don't know, 20, 30 millions revenue to like 150 and 200. And honestly, there is no secret recipe for it.
More of the same, more of the same.
Yeah, I was like asking what channels do you bring, and everyone is like, oh, you just need to work on a brand awareness. So honestly, I don't know, like our approach now is to try different things, and I think that really big growth will come from new products and reaching new audience. Like menopause audience, we know is pretty growing and like trending right now. And we also want to get into wellness space and also working on products for men, because there are also men hormones that you might be interested to test. So all of it will expand the product to be multifaceted. Like, for example, like Oura Ring, they started from someone who is a biohacking for sleep, and now the big growth coming actually from women's health. And in women's health also there are multiple segments, like someone tracking for avoiding pregnancy, or someone is tracking for menopause. So it's really like how do you expand into different segments and tell the story? But also I believe that the brand awareness will play more role. We just discussed today to do a campaign for our new product launch on a Times Square, like on these big screens.
I like that, yeah.
But probably I would be like a year ago, oh my God, that's crazy because it's so expensive. It's absolutely impossible to measure. It's just a waste of money. But now I feel like it's really something that would help us to put the brand up front of people's eyes. And even though they don't need the need right now, maybe at some point of their journey, they will they will think about the brand.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Super Bowl. You work out the CPM on women's, like, I think you're, because it's the kind of product it is too, right? Because there's this dawning awareness of your ability to take this into your own hands that maybe wasn't there before. So I do think these exercises that you're doing in branding at the top of the funnel could pay real dividends down the line. I think that's really cool. Are you guys in retail?
No, we did some trials, but honestly, I don't think that it's time for retail yet.
No, post Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, maybe after for sure. When we will be for like everyone basically, for men, for women, for now, for trying to conceive, it still feels like as a very specific need that people research a lot online, and also we see based on sales growth that coming from Amazon, a lot of people like pick something that is more convenient for them, like just Amazon where they can get fast delivery, cash back, and so on. But retail would be a big step for awareness for sure.
Oh yeah, but it's like it almost requires more category awareness, or like the amount that you'd have to put into raising awareness right now in the retail environment would cost you a lot, probably, right? And no one's doing Costco samples with this, right? That's not going to work. I have to ask you one final question, which I've got to start asking everyone who comes on the podcast is, how are you using AI right now? What are some of the ways that you're using AI as a CMO effectively? Are you old school and not using it?
Oh, we're trying to use it in many different ways. It was a fun experiment, kind of like my failure as a CMO. We did this commercial video right now for that we will use for our new campaign and launch. And I was like, please don't do the voiceover with AI, because a couple months ago I tried it and it was horrible. And I feel like we really need a human voice. And our creative director sent me two links, and I was like, which voiceover do you like the most? And honestly, I thought that both of them are some narrators, some actors who did it. And I picked one, and she's like, oh, do you know, actually the one that you picked is AI, and the
Is
one
AI?
that I thought maybe AI was a human. So it's really developing so fast. And yeah, so for like video editing, for video creation, for voiceover, for generating ads, generating illustrations, it's like creative process wise, but also I think around 30 to 40% of our customer support tickets is answered by our AI agent. And AI agent has sometimes better reviews, like a better CCAT score than a human agent, because she replies quickly, she knows everything, people like her. So it's another good case was what really helping us not to scale team, not to spend more on a team when we have more sales and more tickets coming in.
Yeah, it's something I think organizations have to kind of continually assess right now. We just had a meeting about it today, and we're wanting to be careful not to do make work projects or like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this with it? But like really take repetitive things that we're doing all the time and figure out, can we do it faster with AI rather than making work?
Yeah, it would be interesting. A lot of hopes regarding AI and analytics, like all the things that Triple Whale now launch and Northbeam. It doesn't work, in a how say, like, there is a pretty demos, and when someone is like just ask questions and AI answer all the concerns, but so you still need a data analyst to support, but I believe it's just a matter of time, and pretty soon we will get much better analytics everyone can access without like pinging data analyst and asking to send the report or get some data.
Yeah, I will just be able to talk to it. It'll just be a lot more natural language processing. I was watching some videos on people putting, basically something that was watching their screen and listening to them talk. And it's like, you don't need a keyboard anymore. If you can just sort of have these natural language conversations that allow you to do this really interesting data extraction. There's one last random question. Do you have any tools like SaaS products that you're a big fan of that have been a big part of Mira's growth?
I mean, we use a lot of tools. I think Triple Whale definitely would help us to flip how we look into acquisition, because before we were looking into metadata and we were optimizing towards ROAS and meta, and after like launching Triple Whale, we start to optimize towards new customer acquisition, and sometimes it's leads you to make very different decisions than before. Really like gorgeous in terms of customer support and helping use this AI for answering tickets. There are some tools that we use on Shopify. Overall, Shopify as SaaS, I think, is pretty great, and like amazing infrastructure, and all the apps we use like Loop, like Rebuy, just to like build the ecosystem and increase LTV by subscribing people or offering them upsells. Exciting, one of the last recent tools we launched is a video Vice for like more social looking e-commerce, and see how it will work. We use IntelliGems for our A/B test. It's also a big part because, sometimes there are questions that you never know answer. And what I'm excited about is to try more integrate Cursor. It's like AI agent that you can talk to and give exactly like it connects with all the services. So you can say like, go to this file and find this information and input in another file, kind of like really feeling like in the future to try integrate it more into analytics and just like a basic operational task.
Nice. Well, if they're listening, you should sponsor the D2C newsletter because this is the kind of stuff we talk about. Katherine, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. This was super cool. I think we've got a lot of CMOs and people who want to be CMOs and probably founders who want to hire CMOs. So hopefully people find a way to reach out. Do you think LinkedIn is the best place to find you there maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Nice. Well, I will include your page there. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. I look forward to getting an update because I know you're headed. I think probably Pilothouse is deep in Q4 prep already, thinking about how we're going to make this. Is it a really seasonal thing? Is it? Yeah, Q4 is big for everyone, I guess, regardless of. But still, people still have to be in that phase of their life at the same time as Q4. But you have big plans.
Yeah, I think it's still seasonal. Back to school.
Yeah, that's right.
After summer, going after vacation, and like really preparing for life changes. So it feels really optimistic. And with CTV and all the top of funnel, we'll see how Meta starts to perform better as well.
Nice. Well, I look forward to catching up with you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.